going on, Sens fans? Welcome back to another post-game coverage. And tonight is another game that we lost to the Winnipeg Jets. That brings the season to 6-2, I think. Not good against the Jets. And I know the title is wrong; it's 3-1, but it's too late for me to change it while we're live, so it'll be have to be after the stream. But not a bad game overall. So, what do you think?
I thought it was a really good first two periods, and then it kind of fell apart in the third, I guess. But that they went into the third tied last game on Monday. They were tied at 2, and then the Sens took over. This was kind of the opposite, I guess. But that was frustrating, I think would be a good way to put it. Those are, man. I mean, so that win on Monday broke a losing streak of like 4 in a row, I think. But in those 4 games, they lost every game by 1 goal. And then tonight continues. So again, it's losses you'll take, but still pretty frustrating, I'd imagine, for the team and for DJ.
Yeah, and to think like this is one of the better games we've seen. Like this was a really sound game. Obviously, there was a big flub by Chabot at the end, leading up to that third goal. But this whole game, like we had Bernard Docker come in at the last minute. He looked fantastic for his first game. He had about 16 minutes tonight. We have Mete, who first game after kind of settling into Ottawa, I guess. And Brandstrom, who's playing top 4 minutes and on the penalty kill. Like what? So a lot of positives to take out of tonight for sure.
Yeah, it was. I think when you see what the defense looks like with people who can, move the puck, well, like even Mete was great tonight. But when you add a guy like JBD too, he was so solid. Like just a couple shaky moments, I guess, in the first. But the Jets were coming hard, right? Everyone knows that there's a rookie on the other side, but once he settled in, I thought he was really confident with the puck, and like he made a lot of he looked like veteran moves, just kind of hanging on to it. And what more can you ask for his first game? So, we'll look to see if he continues that. I would imagine that he stays in the lineup if Zaitsev comes back. I would hope Josh Brown comes out, but I mean, we'll just see from Saturday, I guess, the next one.
Yeah, and Saturday we also expect to see Shane Pinto as well. But Bernard Docker played very well tonight, and his first shift, it was a little shaky, some would say. I was quite impressed with it. There was a line change that he went for right at the end of that shift, and he was halfway to the bench already, and it was a judgment call. And with all those nerves going through you, judgment calls are the hardest thing to do at that point, like first shift in the NHL. But he did a wicked job of being the only man back for that, and a lot of people were like, why are you praising that? It's just a change. But it was more than just the change because he didn't change. Brad Marchand, it was a worse situation, but Brad Marchand went for that change last year and he got roasted all over Twitter for it. And it was impressive, and he made the good defensive play. And following that, it was a really bad pass by Chabot, and Jacob Bernard Docker was already tied up, and Chabot passed it behind the net to him, and he did a really good job of just getting it out of the net, and then he went out front and got into a battle. So huge props to him.
I think the thing that's cool with him, and it'll be like this for the rest of the season, is that he's kind of got the style of play where he doesn't try to do too much anyways. So he shouldn't be out of place. Like I look at a guy like Brandstrom, like he's an offensive defenseman, right? Yeah. But he's had to get better at the defensive side in order to earn more ice time. But I feel like Bernard Docker, that's his bread and butter. That's playing simple is what he does. So I'm really, really impressed with that. And but the whole team was just kind of flying, especially in that second period. Everyone looked so good. I think the difference tonight overall was Brossoit. There wasn't a huge difference in play, I thought, from the team in terms of Monday. But Hellebuck let in a couple of soft goals, right? The Jets as a whole, I think, played a lot better because there weren't as many breakaways and everything for Ottawa. But I definitely think that Brossoit was pretty dialed in, so they didn't get any of those soft goals. But yeah, like you said, I'm pretty impressed with that overall effort.
Yeah, and this is kind of something I'm sure one of us will get into later, but Tierney was rough tonight, and especially for a defensive center that we have. Like he's probably when you look at our center depth, the defensive guy that we have. And yeah, he was not great tonight. That first goal was a mess. Like everybody had a man covered, and he came in with Scheifele, and then just left Scheifele alone.
Sorry to interrupt, but he's like, this was a high paced game. We should point out too. Like this was like a playoff style, and especially the way it was called. We'll get into that, but like they. Whenever they play with pace, I find Tierney amongst the forwards is definitely the one who lags the most. He just he's not a fast player, right? So he's not going to thrive in that end-to-end kind of stuff. But so hopefully he can bounce back a little bit because I don't think Seattle will take a chance on him. But who knows? He's been better lately than he was at the beginning of the season.
I agree. He's more reliable now, I guess. Yeah. He comes and brings the same game every night. Not a great game, I don't think that Ottawa fans would agree with, but it's the same game every night, so at least you know what you're getting. But yeah, that first goal was just a mess. And we were talking right before this. I don't remember the second goal, actually. Like, I know it was Matthew Perreault and whatever, but I don't remember the goal, actually.
I missed it, but I saw a highlight that he like popped the water bottle, and I think it was from the right side.
Okay.
But I don't know if anyone watching remembers, but I was asking Jacob, like, should Murray have had it? Because I'm not gonna lie, he was pretty shaky. Didn't let in a soft goal per se, but there were a couple of stops where he thought he had it and it squirted by. Like a lot of times where I was like, okay, that's gonna go in and that's gonna look bad on him. But just I don't have the confidence in him still, and you know what, to be fair, he's got to earn that because he was so inconsistent at the beginning of the year. Like he'd literally have a 900 save percentage and then it would be under 900 the next game, and back and forth. So I'm imagining he'll get the start on Saturday, so we'll see how he does in Montreal. But
I would expect him to get the start in Montreal as well, and I don't think I have no faith in him. Especially after being away for so long, I do think that this wasn't a bad game for him at all. So,
yeah, okay, yeah, I agree. I just think is it definitely a good game back after injury. I'd say, like, I should put it like this: I'd give him the benefit of the doubt if he hadn't been making those plays earlier in the year. Like I'd be like, okay, first game back from injury, but there were just a couple times where I was like, okay, like that's gonna squeak through, and it doesn't invoke confidence, I don't think, in the rest of the team either, but. He was pretty good. He stopped the ones he needed to tonight. Yeah.
Overall, like we said, I was impressed with the whole team tonight, and it's just good performance from everybody. Really, there was nobody lagging too far behind, other than Tierney that we mentioned. But
I've got a couple that I wasn't very happy with. I think Dadonov had one of his worst games of the year. I'm not going to lie. He was good in the first couple periods, but especially the third period, he just made a couple plays where you're like, what are you doing? Like, he'd skate it up from our end, have everyone in front of him, and then make a terrible pass in the neutral zone. And knowing the kind of coach that DJ is, that's got to drive him absolutely crazy, right?
Yeah.
So not exactly thrilled with the way he played. But yeah, then the whole team was just rolling in those first two periods, and then they just came out flat in the third.
Yeah, and then just another point to the Tierney slander, I guess. On the power play, Tierney skated by Perreault to cover the point, who sniped it from the dot. So, yeah, it was. I do remember it. I just kind of don't remember who was where and what was going on. But yeah, it was not a great play by the team. Definitely couldn't put it just on Murray, but. Yeah, one of those goals that Murray could have had, but you can't put it on him after that. So
another thing too that we should talk about is like the power play, right? I think they've changed the outlook of that top unit, but because by adding Norris and like they had a couple good looks tonight, and then all game it felt like they were kind of fighting for an opportunity, and they could have had a lot of chances on the power play. If you look at the opportunities, it'll be probably favored to Ottawa because they got like 3 calls in the last 2 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But I just thought that Chabot is a frustrating player to watch sometimes, and especially lately, like the last 5 games, he's like a world beater one game and then just make some boneheaded plays. And, a lot of people will point to his minutes, and I agree that he should be playing less, especially the more Brandstrom plays. Like Brandstrom's up to 18 minutes tonight. That'll continue to go up, I'd imagine. But you shouldn't be. I don't know. It's tough to say that it's because of his minutes, because I remember he had a game not too long ago where he only played 23 and it was one of his worst games of the year. So I don't agree with the notion that too many minutes is making him tired. I think consecutive minutes, I think for that power play, and I'm starting to talk about the third goal for Winnipeg, kind of the backbreaker. It ended up being the game-winning goal. I feel like he just needs to be more, the coaches need to manage how long he's out there, and this is a great point for it. It's about how long his shifts are. So I'm actually looking at I use ESPN stats and they count the shifts. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, but it's usually pretty accurate. It's got Bernard Docker had 18, and so did Mete. So that's the lowest for defensemen. They each had 18 shifts. Josh Brown had 21. Brandstrom had 22, and Chabot had 22. Chabot played nearly 7 more minutes than Brandstrom did, but they had the same amount of shifts. How crazy is that discrepancy? And then Zub actually had the most shifts, but he had the second least ice time. So it's definitely the length of his shifts, and I think a lot of that will go into when they get a power play, they're going to keep him out there. And this is bringing us to what we've talked about before. We'd like to see Brandstrom on that top unit. I'd like to give him a try because Chabot's just sometimes he's too slow up top. And when you've got a trigger man like Norris, who's now pounded it back on the Jets against the Jets, twice, where he's just rifled it in that one spot. So I just think that you need to change something when it's not going well, and you have an option on that second unit in Brandstrom. He can definitely play with those top guys. Yeah,
and I'm not against having Chabot as a part of this team for a long time, I'm really, really, really starting to get Morgan Riley vibes. And Toronto is he's 26, 27, I think, and Toronto's kind of just saying we love him, but he's too much of a defensive liability for what he is. And they're so different situations, but they're not. The more I think about it, the more accurate I think it is. That I think that there might be a time that Ottawa moves on from Thomas Chabot, and it might be in the next 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, that's looking way down the line, and I mean it's easy to think that, I guess, with Sanderson coming, but the impact this guy has on this team is just far above any other. The team's MVP by a mile. Not to say that he's, obviously he's going to make his mistakes, but we literally went through it with Erik Karlsson, and I'm not expecting Chabot to get to an Erik Karlsson level where he's top 3 in the league. That shouldn't be an expectation, but just the workload he takes, not even that it's the minutes, but this guy's got 4 assists in his last 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he is 100% a valuable piece, and wherever he ends up in his career, he's going to add and add and add to whatever team he's on. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of the way this team is building up with the defensive core. It'll be interesting to see who ends up where, because
I agree.
It's a given that 2 or 3 of these guys have to go that we have, whether they're on the team already that we expect to stay or coming up. So
I think too, this draft is important too. If they draft another left-handed defenseman, someone's out. Yeah. And I would hope it's not Chabot, especially because he's the guy you've been building with. He's been here since the beginning with Hall and White. I'm just skeptical of people who are kind of putting him down. This is a guy who was top 5, I want to say, in defensive scoring 2 years ago. He was right up there when we had the Stone and Duchesne. They were a pretty good offensive team. And that was his first full season in the league, I think. Right after Karlsson got traded, he stepped right in. Now he's got the big contract. This is his first year of that deal where it's actually kicking in, because last year was just an extension. So this is the first year of it, and he does need to have more consistency in his game. But tonight he played with everyone. It felt like he was with every partner. And I mean, say what you will about Zaitsev, but Zaitsev's brought a little bit of stability for him, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he looked good with Josh Brown tonight, which makes me think more of the Shabbat effect on Zaitsev.
Yeah,
just because Josh Brown didn't look good tonight, but he looked good with Shabbat, and that makes no sense. But another thing worth mentioning, I'm just checking now for games that are happening tonight and going on. But yeah, as of right now, Thomas Shabbat is third in the league this season in primary assists.
Okay, so I saw that tweet and I like quote tweeted it and like said like, oh, is this good? You know, being cocky, because it is good. Yeah. That's pretty fantastic. I had tried to look for it online just to see the list and I couldn't really find anything, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
He I think tonight he had two.
Yep, two primary assists tonight.
2 primary assists tonight. So, look, this guy drives the bus, whichever way you want to put it. So, I'm not saying like this team will live and die with his play, because as Brandstrom and hopefully Sanderson start to develop, then they'll be able to carry some heavy minutes too. But
yeah,
I'm just kind of wanting people to just relax a little bit, and his ice time should go down in the future, right?
Yeah, and so I think it's supposed to be 5v5 primary assists. I don't know if that includes power play. Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, Thomas Shabbat only has 24 assists this year, and that would bring him up to 15. So I don't know.
Well, one of them was a PP assist tonight too. I remember. I know that you're talking about the tweet you're talking about said all situations. I'm just gonna look it up quickly, because it did seem like it was a little bit out of place, but
yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing with Twitter. Like, this could be 100% accurate or not right at all. But I'm just going based off what I know. And but yeah, like the list is McDavid, McKinnon, and then being that it does say all situations, but if it's 5-on-5, then still that's third in the league with Draisaitl and Marner. Great.
Well, it says all situations, but McDavid's got 18 primary assists. So yeah, I know what you're. But, you know, you think about it, a primary assist is like you're passing to the goal scorer. So how many times would Draisaitl and McDavid be passing to another guy who passed? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true.
If McDavid and Draisaitl assist on the same goal, one of them is getting the primary assist.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit lost here, but it's a good indicator of how the offense goes with Shabbat. With that being said, it also dies with him on the power play.
Yes.
So, you know, that in the third there, it's a different scenario because it was like a 6-on-5, I think. But Norris's goal, like, he's up top, he moves it quick to Norris, boom, back of the net. Like, I think he takes too long up there sometimes. And you know, we haven't even talked about it, but that play on the power play, people are saying it's because he was fatigued, I think. He's not like a quick burst kind of skater. He just didn't know where the puck was and got beat. Like, it's obviously on him, but I wouldn't attribute that to too many minutes. I just think that, like it was pointed out, he needs shorter shifts.
See, I think he did. I think he thought it just went down the ice, and he just, like, it was not icing because they were shorthanded, but it was going to be an icing. And that's why he wasn't in a rush to get back. But even still, at that point, you got to turn around and look. You can't just look to the ceiling because it went by you. Like, it's just not acceptable from our top defenseman.
It's a lazy play. It was a lazy play. You know,
regardless where the blame goes, you're right. It was just a lazy play. So
yeah, but look, we've been talking. We spent a lot of time on Shabbat, but the bright side is how good was Bernard Docker. I think we got to talk about that more. It's so, like, man, I'm trying to, like, Stutzel's first game and even Norris, like, they were a little off. Like, they weren't. This isn't even his first NHL game. It's his first pro game ever.
Yeah.
First professional game.
Yeah.
And he looked that steady. I just, that's exciting, and that bodes well for the future of this decor, I think.
Yeah, I genuinely have nothing bad to say about Jacob Bernard-Docker
Me
tonight.
neither.
Like, I can't think of one time that I was like, oh man, he really should have blank, whatever. Like,
Man, oh,
so
and he
good.
made that one pass. It was right at the beginning of the second. He
Yep.
got it in the boards at his end, and just a nice little sauce over to Stutzel, and then Stutzel almost has a highlight reel goal, right?
Yep.
Where he rang it off the post. But just little plays like that, just he's a smart player, and we've seen with a lot of players in Ottawa, you can go a long way with your smarts.
Yeah, and exactly like you said too, he's simple and like out front of the net, he just does that little one move play and just gets by everybody. He's just so smart that he can be that simple, and it's perfect.
He made a lot of really I don't know what the right word is. I'm going to say quick, just quick, smart plays with his stick too, deflecting shots, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think he looks like he can play with Chabot. And I know I've only seen 15 minutes of him in the NHL, but he just fits that mold of what they need. Like, people pointing that out, not all season, have been right on the money, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's because they're very similar players. It's just Chabot has two extremes of that similar player. Like, Chabot is either going to bring everything or nothing. JBD just kind of brings everything.
I think too, yeah, that's good. And for those who didn't catch it, they interviewed him. Gord Miller interviewed him in the first intermission and asked him what kind of player do you want to be in this league? And he said, I'm a two-way defenseman, and that's true, right? Defense comes first, and then you spring for offense. And he's not going to rack up points, and he's not going to, wow you with any crazy moves. But he's a steady Eddie. That's the best way to describe him, I think.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be a really stable part of this blue line, and arguably the most stable part of the blue line, because you have Chabot, who he brings a similar game every night, a lot of offense, but not enough defense. He's just not balanced enough, I don't think. So
and we should say too, though, like, Chabot will make a great defense. He made a couple of great defensive plays tonight too, but he'll make more. He makes mistakes, which get amplified because he's highly paid and he's been here for a while now. This is his fourth year. I just think that if they cut down on the shift length, then they're in good shape. Like today there was no reason why all lines couldn't have been rolling, because the forwards were doing it. The defense should be able to as well.
Yeah. And the defense arguably did get rolled around pretty well, except for that left side.
Yeah.
Thomas Chabot played almost 27 minutes. Then Bernard Docker's on the right. Brandstrom played 18 and Mete played 14. But then the right side is 20, 18, and 17 and a half. So
yeah. So I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, here's a interesting thing. Connor Brown and Josh Norris played the exact same amount of time. Clocked, but Brown had 2 more shifts. It's a cool little. I love looking at ice time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alex Formanton too on that first penalty kill. That was so cool. This guy, I watched him too because it was a face-off in their end. They lost the draw, but Formanton's first to the puck near their D, chips it by him, and he's gone. Just it looks like he's playing with novice players out there sometimes with this speed. It's crazy.
I know. It's hilarious because we saw exactly tonight when he went on that breakaway, the Connor McDavid speed that we talked about. Like, that was so explosive. And I was just sitting on my couch and I was like, damn. And Emily, my girlfriend, was sitting on the other couch and she was like, what? Nothing happened. And I was like, you just don't understand. Like, that was so fast.
No, and it's nuts how quick he can look as a rookie, right? And I don't know how many games you need to play to not be considered like a rookie anymore. I think Batherson played 30 games.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But anyways, if he doesn't pass the requirement this season, then next season he could be up for the Calder. I think just the way he plays. And so can guys like Shane Pinto. Like, there's going to be a steady flow of Calder candidates out of Ottawa for the next few seasons.
So the rookie is 25 games.
Oh, okay. He might have passed that.
Yeah.
No.
And then or 6 or more NHL games in each of any 2 preceding seasons, which he has played 6 games in at least 2 seasons.
So with that would take him out?
Yeah.
But
yeah, like that's another thing. Like
Calder
eligibility should just be completely redone.
Yeah, he's played 20 games actually. This is his 20th career game. Okay. Yeah, no, the Calder eligibility needs a little bit of a revamp. I agree.
But then like we get the late 6-on-3, which you just know. Yeah, very rare. But you just know that after that Shabbat, we're gonna get another one, and that's gonna cost the game. I just had that feeling the second that goal happened, and then we get all the power play, and then pull the goalie and get the perfect offensive zone and get the goal in 5 seconds after the draw. And Josh Norris again with a beautiful snipe from the top of that right circle. He loves that spot, and yeah, it was just a beautiful goal. If we had a little bit more time, that very could have well gone to overtime.
It's his bread and butter. It really is that spot, and it's nice having a guy who can just. I mean, Mike Hoffman was the same way, but Norris is such a complete player that it's nice to see. He, the team wasn't much better on the draws, but he was much better. 66%.
Yeah, 66.7% is absolutely phenomenal
on 12 draws.
Yeah, and then you got other guys like Chris Tierney is the only other one above. Well, at 50%, I guess. And then Colin White and Mike Amadio in the 40s. So is Nick Paul. And then Brady Tkachuk 2 for 4. So I didn't like him taking that last face-off, but it worked. So
I know. I guess it went right to Shabbat. But who got the assists on that one? Was it Brown? Yeah,
Connor Brown.
Yeah. Okay. Tough that he couldn't keep the streak going.
Oh, it would have been written in the stars if he had scored that tying goal in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, all things come to an end. Connor Brown had a great run for that streak, but
he really did.
Yeah, overall it was a great game by everybody. Some flaws here and there, but overall great team effort. So
yeah, can't be upset about losses like that, especially at the end of a season like this.
Yeah, exactly. And when we're unless you ask everyday Sens, when you're this far out of a playoff spot, there's not much hope. He's been pretty hopeful over on his account for the last day or two. So, but yeah, it's really interesting to see how this team reacts when they're out of it versus when they're still pushing. And I feel like there's almost more motivation to play now that they're out of it. It doesn't make any sense, but by the way they're playing, it feels like it.
Well, it feels like a lot of the young guys, the good thing about the way DJ coaches is that a lot of the young guys are fighting for spots and trying to play well, which yields great results. So you can't, people will be upset about. I'm expecting to go on Twitter and people to be lighting up about how Josh Brown had 20 minutes tonight, which is a lot and it's more than he should be playing. But you can't. You're not just gonna hand a rookie 20 minutes. And look, how many times has Brandstrom played 15 minutes this season? Not many. I could probably count 5 times. This is probably one of the 5 times he's played over 15, and Bernard Docker just did it in his first game.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing by any means, and I think he'll be in the lineup for the rest of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think it's worth burning the year for him.
Yeah, for him.
If he's going to do this much on the back end for us. So I'm looking now. Eric Brandstrom. He's actually got quite a few over 15, but only 1 over 19, I think.
Okay.
Only 2 over 18. So.
Okay, so he's right in that range, I guess. Yeah. But there's been a lot of scenarios this year where he's played like less than 10, I'd say, or less than 15, I should say.
Yeah, it's been way too often. Like it's okay with Mete. Mete has 200 games under his belt almost already at 22 years old. Huge props to him. You don't get that for nothing.
No.
But you don't rush your guys like Brandstrom or they turn into Mete. Like
That's a really good point. Yeah, and I mean Brandstrom has played more than Mete in both games.
yeah,
So he's that top 4 left defenseman, but he'll just continue to grow, I think, and I mean, I'm looking to see Pinto in the lineup in the next game. I think you take him in for Amadio for sure.
Who I also don't think had a terrible game. I mean,
No.
Unfortunately, he's just the odd man out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a real good depth piece. So
look, I think Pinto too. Love Colin White. He's had a much better season than last year, but he's just struggled on the faceoffs.
Yeah.
It seems like all year. So Pinto can come in and establish himself in the faceoff dot, and I think that would go a long way for his ice time, right? Like how important are faceoffs. So that's where I think his focus should be. Yeah, I mean Pinto just makes sense. You got 2 right-handed centermen still, 2 left-handed, and just see what he can do. Why not throw him with Stützle?
Yeah,
it's a nothing, win-win, right?
Yeah, I could see something happen with like White and Dadonov, who are both struggling this year, packaged for a need that we have next year after camp or something like that. Kind of like how, obviously not to the same caliber, but like Laine and Roslovic for Dubois. Like, it sucks to lose some guys sometimes, but you just kind of got to look at what your team needs now that you're ready to go. And I think we're in a similar position to where Winnipeg was a few years ago. We just kind of have all these guys that are ready to go. They're just not ready to do it all together. And so that'll be coming really soon, that we get this whole team organized and we can look at what we need.
This is a pivotal off season. I think they can't waste another year with stop gaps for the kids. I don't think that's necessary anymore. But we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, I'm so okay with losses like this for sure.
Yeah. So we can get into our 3 stars here if you want to go ahead.
All right. Okay. 3rd star. I'll go Brandstrom for the 3rd star.
Yep.
He as a defenseman, you don't want to be noticed. That's a good game if you're a defenseman, and he played a lot, so that's good. I was really impressed with. I have been. I think he's taking advantage of an opportunity, and he's been very solid.
Yeah.
2nd star, I'll go Norris. He's a -1, but the fact that he was well over 50% in the faceoff circle is enough for me.
Yeah.
So he did lose a couple key ones on the power play, but like the Jets are face-off wizards, I swear. Like they're really good at them especially on the penalty kill. And then 1st star, I'm going JBD. I just blew the doors off. It's hard to say that too for a stay-at-home defenseman, but he just made a lot of really smart plays. Wasn't overwhelmed, and then was just a really steady presence, I thought.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, this is the thing. Like, he just is so steady for his first game, and it's just incredible. With all those nerves, I couldn't imagine.
Oh, I know. It's just stone cold.
For my 3rd star, I'll go Tim Stützle. He had one of his better games in a while. He had a lot of really good chances, and it was he was making a lot of things out of nothing tonight, which he hasn't done a lot of. He usually just makes the nice play, sure, but he was creating stuff tonight. So huge props to him. He gets my 3rd star. 2nd star, I'll go Nick Paul. He was absolutely dominant tonight. He was flying, and that goal was beautiful, and he almost had another one not long after.
It's his first in 27 games.
Yeah, and it's that nice. Like, how do you score that goal without scoring one in 27 games? Like,
I don't know.
That's just mind-blowing, and he puts so much work in every night, and again, just can't think of a reason not to give him a star. And again, I'll just straight up agree with you for Jacob Bernard-Docker for my 1st star. Just a fantastic game for his first, and probably didn't expect it to be his first until about 2 hours before the game. So
yeah, that's the other thing. He skated with the scratches this morning, which is like a bag skate pretty much. So he does the practice, then bag skates, and then he's in the warm up playing. So good for him. I want to point out too, he made a comments in his media availability. I think it was yesterday.
Okay.
You know, they asked him like, how do you think you're gonna do? Like, are you nervous or whatever? And he said, I'm not nervous because like he said he adapts. He adapts to different situations, and that literally happened tonight. He was a bit overwhelmed his first couple shifts, and then he just settled in. You know?
And even Derek Lee tweeted out, he was like a little bit struggling for JVD on those first few shifts. But I even disagreed with that, keeping in mind that it's his first few shifts. Like, yeah, he looked a little nervous and shaky, but overall he was making the smart plays still. He didn't screw up any real big time, at least.
No.
And he was just stable the whole night. So huge props to him. So we kind of went over this with a little bit of everybody, but who needs to be better the most for you next game?
I'm just going to say Shabbat. He just needs to be smarter, I think. I know it's probably not on him for taking such long shifts, but, you know, it's a mix of him and the coaching staff. They've got Brandstrom, who looks good the more he plays. You shouldn't be afraid to shed a couple minutes over to Brandstrom. You know, I mean, still though, 26 minutes is one of his lowest of the year. Like he's now hovering around 30. He played 32, I think, last game. So this is a bonus that he played so little, but he can go even lower. I think Brandstrom could be up to 20. So that's my guy.
Yeah, and I'm actually just looking right now, and I didn't even realize, but I almost want to throw Brandstrom in instead of Stutzel for my stars because he had over 3 minutes of shorthanded time and just under 3 on power play. So I didn't think he was out there that much, but yeah, huge props to him.
Versatile.
And I'll just go Tierney for mine. Easy answer, usually the easy way out for these. But yeah, he's just not doing enough lately. So like to see him step up.
Agreed.
Thanks everybody for watching tonight, and we will see you all on Saturday against who is it Saturday?
Montreal.
That'll be fun. Should be a closer one. So yeah, we'll slander Tierney, I approve. We'll see you then. Thanks.